Good afternoon, my name is Julia, and today I'll be presenting on the differences between individualism and collectivism. I chose this topic because I'm really interested in cross-cultural differences, and sometimes we take it for granted that how society is shaped can also shape the way that an individual can think and act. So I will be giving examples of comparing both of them later, so I'm going to start with individualistic first. So what is individualistic? The definition that the dictionary gives is the habit or principle of being independent and self-reliant. But how does this connect to a way that a society can shape an individual? So first of all, an individualistic society values individual rights a lot. So it's more important to satisfy an individual rather than satisfying the society. Of course, in an individualistic society, it's really important to be independent. In fact, sometimes being dependent from other people can be considered shameful or embarrassing. And therefore, it's really important to be self-reliant. And of course, it's also important to stand out and be unique. People tend to not conform, rather they want to be seen as someone different from the rest of the group. So collectivism was born at the end of the 16th century, after the American Revolution. This is the American Declaration of Independence. When the Declaration of Independence was actually written during a period called liberalism. Liberalism was a social ideology between the 15th and the 18th century. Liberalism valued a lot individual rights and liberty. So it is considered to be the roots of individualism. You don't have to read all of this. I underlined the parts that are more important to understand individualism. So for example, we can see that it enhances the idea that all men are created equally instead of considering a society one whole, considers each individual. And from the last sentence, we can see how it's important for the government to satisfy each individual rather than the whole society. So this is a summary of the traits that individualistic cultures have to remember. So uniqueness, autonomy, independence, and self-sufficiency. Now we'll talk about collectivism. The dictionary definition is the practice or principle of giving a group priority over each individual in it. We can see that the traits that a collectivistic society shows are very different from the individualistic society. So first of all, in collectivistic society, one social rule is selflessness. That means that instead of thinking about your own benefits, you think about the benefits of the group surrounding you. For this reason, it's important to work as a group and support others. And it's good to do what's best for society rather than what's best for yourself. And as a consequence, in collectivistic society, families and communities are very important. So people tend to want to build very strong social interactions with people around them. And common goals. That means, for example, if you're working in a group, it's very important for everyone in the group to achieve high grade rather than only one individual in the group to get a high grade. So collectivism was born has its roots on Karl Marx ideologies. Karl Marx was a German economist who is famous for writing the Communist Manifesto. This is a quote from the Communist Manifesto. So society does not consist of individuals, but expresses the sum of interrelations. So as you can see, compared to the Declaration of Independence that we saw before, in this quote, we don't see men or individuals. We see a group of people that are working together for society. So this is a summary of some traits from collectivistic cultures. So we can see selflessness, working as a group, do what's best for society, and the important role of families and communities. This is a map that shows the world divided based on individualistic and collectivistic traits. So of course, each country has a bit of both, but an average shows that more individualistic countries can be seen in North America, Canada, Northern European countries, and Australia, while southern continents and especially Asian countries are considered to be more collectivistic. So now I'll show some differences that this social influences affects in the way the individual portrays himself. The first one is self-description. So on my right, your left, you can see the way that someone from individualistic society would probably describe themselves. So for example, coming from individualistic society, someone would say, I like doing this, I am this way, rather than we. While someone from a collectivistic society likes describing themselves based on the people that surround them, especially family and friends. So for example, someone from a collectivistic society would say, in my family there are 4 people, usually I do this with my friends. A second difference is conforming. So as we said before, for individualistic society, it's really important to stand out and be unique. And this is seen in an education system. A lot of times in a school environment, people tend to wear clothes that make them different from other people, or haircuts that make them different from other people. While in collectivistic society, it's really important to be the same as other people. So people tend to have uniforms and don't want to stand out because of the fear of being externalized from the society or the group they're in. So this is very important because even if it starts being seen during the education time, it can also be portrayed in the adulthood. So for example, in the business careers or in business environment, people in collectivistic cultures tend to wear conform clothing. And the last one is social support. In individualistic society, people need to be self-reliant. So if they need help, they usually first try to solve it by themselves, or they seek professional mental help. While in more collectivistic society, the bonds that people create with the people around them are stronger, so they tend to rely on their friends and family more. So that was all. Thank you.